They actually killed him. Nate Jacobs is dead. Buried alive in a coffin, killed by a snake that crawled through his only breathing hole. But his death is just the beginning, because Rue just made a fatal mistake that's about to get her killed too. Maddy told Alamo she's working with the DEA. Episode 7 of Euphoria Season 3 was absolutely brutal, and we need to break down everything that just happened. Welcome back, everyone. This is the penultimate episode of Euphoria Season 3, and it might be the most consequential episode this show has ever produced. A major character died in the most horrific way possible. Rue's cover with the DEA just got blown. Cassie lost everything she worked for, and Maddy just made a deal with the devil that's going to haunt her for the rest of her life. With only one episode left in the season, everything is falling apart for these characters. The choices they made trying to build better lives are now destroying them completely. Let's break down this insane episode, analyze that shocking death, and discuss what it all means heading into the finale. Spoilers ahead, you've been warned. Let's start with the elephant in the room. They actually killed off Nate Jacobs. And not just killed him, they gave him one of the most claustrophobic, terrifying deaths I've seen on television. Buried alive in a coffin, tied up, screaming through a breathing tube, only to have a venomous snake crawl through that same tube and kill him.
I could see this coming from the start of the season. Nate's life was spiraling completely out of control. He risked everything for money, for a fresh start, for transformation. And it cost him his marriage, his friendships, his family, and ultimately his life. There's something darkly poetic about how he died. Allie's opening monologue talked about how when you have a family, your decisions hurt more than just yourself. We saw that with full force. Cassie got dragged into Nate's mess, and now she's devastated. Here's what makes Nate's death even more tragic: the symbolism. This season has been all about signs, about Rue thinking God was speaking to her, about searching for meaning in chaos. And a snake appearing in Nate's coffin? That's the devil coming to collect. The irony is brutal. The breathing hole that was supposed to keep Nate alive became the pathway for his death. The one thing giving him hope was what killed him. Nas buried him as leverage. If Cassie didn't pay the ransom in 72 hours, Nate would die of dehydration underground. He was meant to survive long enough for the money to come through. But the snake changed everything. Tied up, alone in the dark, crying out for freedom, Nate died from a venomous bite, with the poison burning through his system. It's an absolutely horrific way to go. Here's the thing about Nate's death. It didn't solve anything. It just transferred the debt. Maddy is now in debt to Alamo for taking out Nas. One debt collector replaced another. And Alamo is far more dangerous than Nas ever was. Nate really did mess up life for everyone around him. His bad decisions created a domino effect that's now destroying Maddy and Cassie. I also think there's a practical reason behind Nate's limited screen time this season. He's barely been in the second half, and with the actor having multiple other projects, it felt like they were writing him out. His death, while shocking, makes sense from both a narrative and production standpoint.
Cassie spent this entire episode drowning in regret. She deleted her account for that TV role, and immediately everything fell apart. No followers, no money, no ability to pay Nas for Nate's safety. She lost the TV opportunity anyway. That's when Maddy stepped in. And this is where we see just how much Maddy has transformed into someone like Alamo. Cold, calculating, transactional. They used Dylan without his knowledge, posted on his story about Cassie, and her follower count shot back up overnight. Problem solved, right? Wrong. Because now Nas had his claws in both of them. Cassie became leverage for Maddy, just like Nate had been leverage for Cassie. The most heartbreaking moment of the episode was Cassie at that burial site. Nas threatened to destroy her face, which to Maddy meant destroying her money tree.
That's what Cassie had become to her supposed best friend. A product, an asset, not a person. When they dug up Nate's coffin, Cassie's scream was absolutely gut-wrenching. Before they even opened it, she was shouting about how much she loved him, how much she missed him. But it was too late. Here's what kills me about this scene. Cassie thought she wanted fame, followers, success, money. She chased all of it. But standing there looking at the body of the person she loved most in the world, even though he'd wronged her, she realized none of it mattered. She would have given it all back just to have Nate alive again. Now let's talk about Rue, because she just made the mistake that's probably going to get her killed. After almost being caught by Alamo in the last episode, Rue thought she'd found God. Ali offered her a safe haven, told her she could stay with him until the danger passed. But Rue couldn't let it go. She was so close to landing both Laurie and Alamo in jail. One more job. One final play. Ali's opening monologue about finding redemption but losing people along the way, that was foreshadowing. Rue's name might be the next one added to his death book if she's not careful.
Here's where everything went wrong for Rue. She told Lexi she was working with the DEA. She got frustrated, she needed to vent, and she let it slip. And then the information traveled exactly how you'd expect it to in a world like this. Rue told Lexi. Lexi told Maddy. Maddy told Alamo. Even though Maddy mentioned it as a throwaway comment, you think Alamo didn't take notice? He already barely trusted Rue. This just confirmed every suspicion he had. Rue is playing 3 different sides: Laurie, Alamo, and the DEA. And just like Nate, her attempt to build a better life is about to cost her everything. The scene with Rue and Faye at the safe was chilling. Faye trusted Rue. She woke her up in the middle of the night, took her to the safe that supposedly held all the money stolen from Alamo, planning to run away together. But when they opened it, no money, just ID cards. ID cards of different girls. Remember a few episodes back when Alamo said something extremely valuable was stolen from the safe? We all assumed it was money, but he meant something more valuable than money. Those IDs probably belonged to girls Alamo took to his rehab clinic over the years. Girls who either got sold or killed because they knew too much about what happens behind the doors of Alamo's clubs. They became liabilities. Faye felt betrayed. She thought Rue lied to her, even though Rue genuinely didn't know the safe was empty. The last thing we saw was Faye screaming to wake up Wayne so Rue would get caught and punished. Here's the tragedy of Rue's story. She was at a crossroads. Ali offered her the safe path, the chance to get her mother and build a better life legitimately. But she chose to go back. She chose one more job. And that decision is about to destroy her. Now she's got Laurie viewing her as a traitor and a thief. She's got Alamo seeing her as a snake and a DEA informant. And Wayne wants her dead. Rue wanted to change her life, but the cost is going to be higher than she ever imagined.
Maddie's storyline this episode perfectly illustrates how trying to help someone you care about can drag you into darkness you never expected. She got fired from her job. Cassie deleted her account and created chaos. Maddy had to clean up the mess, which she did, even though her methods were morally questionable. But the real price she paid was to Alamo. She asked him for the $1 million ransom that Nas was demanding for Nate. They arranged to meet, and Alamo agreed to help. Except Alamo didn't give Nas $1 million. He killed him. Here's the thing. In Alamo's eyes, what he did was worth $1 million, because that's the value Maddy placed on it. So now she owes him 20% of all future earnings, forever. Maddy just entered a dark world she never thought she'd be part of. And who guided her there? Rue. Alamo has a soft spot for Maddy, but he's not going to give her time to mourn Nate or process what happened. She's trapped in this world now, and there's no getting out until her debts are paid. And considering Alamo's track record, those debts might never get paid.
The opening scene with Allie was one of the most powerful moments of the episode. We learned how he found redemption and forgiveness in his life, but at a terrible cost. He has a death book, names of people he lost along the way because of the choices he made. That monologue set the tone for the entire episode. When you have a family, when you have people who care about you, your destructive decisions hurt more than just yourself. We saw it with Nate dragging Cassie down. We're seeing it with Rue potentially dragging everyone around her into danger. We're seeing it with Maddy sacrificing herself to try to save Cassie. The consequences ripple outward, destroying innocent people in the process.
Can we talk about how well constructed this episode was? When I saw the extended runtime, I knew something major was coming. And from the opening scene to that final moment where we didn't know if Nate was alive or if Faye would scream, I was hooked. The scene with Cassie getting grabbed by Naz's henchman was darkly funny. She was literally picked up like a rag doll, but also terrifying because of the genuine danger she was in. The claustrophobic feeling when Nate was underground screaming through that tube, my chest was tight watching that. And when the rattlesnake started moving toward the breathing hole, I was yelling at my screen, hoping it wouldn't go in. The character relationships this season have matured significantly. The Rue and Alamo storyline has become incredibly tense and engaging. The same with Cassie and Maddie. Their relationship is completely toxic now. Maddy genuinely hates Cassie, but uses her as a money tree. Meanwhile, Cassie actually thinks they're best friends. That dynamic is fascinating and heartbreaking. Lexi continues to be the one character trying to live a normal life, work her way up in the industry, become a writer. She's felt the consequences of everyone else's actions more than anyone. I did find it odd that she so quickly shared what Rue told her, but Lexi has always been the most normal person in this group. I almost forgot Jules was even in this show. She's barely had any screen time. The concept of her storyline is interesting, choosing money over passion, not having a sense of belonging or real love, trapped in a transactional relationship with Ellis. But we haven't seen enough of it for any of this to have weight. It feels like a wasted opportunity because there's real emotional depth there that's just not being explored. Killing off Nate was an incredibly bold move. He's been a central character in this show's history. He's connected to so many storylines, and they gave him a truly horrible death. The visual of his body after the snake bite showed he suffered tremendously. I respect the bravery of this choice. It shows that no one is safe, that the consequences in this world are real and permanent. It also raises the stakes dramatically heading into the finale. If they were willing to kill Nate, who else might not make it out alive? I think this season has redeemed itself as it's progressed. The early episodes felt shallow. Cassie just posting pictures, surface-level drama. But as the season developed, real substance emerged. The themes of reinvention, of trying to escape your circumstances, of the cost of ambition, they've all been explored in increasingly dark and complex ways. Every character who tried to build something better ended up destroying themselves in the process. That's the tragedy at the heart of this season. We've got one episode left until the season finale. Nate is dead. Rue's cover is blown. Maddy is trapped in debt to Alamo. Cassie has lost everything that mattered. Faye is about to expose Rue to Wayne and Laurie. Everything is collapsing. The question is, who's going to survive the finale? Because after this episode, I genuinely don't know if Rue is going to make it out alive. What did you think of Nate's death? Do you think Rue will survive the finale? Is Maddy ever going to escape Alamo's control? Drop all your thoughts and predictions in the comments below. This season has been wild, and I want to hear what you're expecting for the finale. If you've been following along with these breakdowns, thank you for being here. Make sure you're subscribed because I'll be covering the season finale the moment it drops. One episode left. Let's see who makes it out alive. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.